Well, gather round, folks, it's a brand new day. Shady V is here to light the way. For storytelling and sharing, that's what we do. With every review and interview, too. Oh, the Shady V Experience. Come on in and stay. Good times and good tales will brighten your day.
Welcome to the Shady V Experience, where every story has a voice, every voice has a story, and every product gets a fair shake. This past weekend, a local burger joint here in Austin, Texas, celebrated its 100th birthday, and that led me to this next episode, The Ghosts of Austin. No, not the kind of ghosts that haunt. There's a version of Austin that only exists in the space between a smell and a memory. You catch a whiff of griddle grease on Guadalupe Street, or hot tortillas from a kitchen vent, and for half a second, you're 8 years old again, sitting at a sticky vinyl booth that hasn't existed since before you could drive. This episode is about that. Austin restaurants that got torn down, priced out, or quietly closed on a Tuesday with a handwritten sign taped to the door. So grab something to eat. Trust me, you'll want to. And let's go for a drive through a city that isn't there anymore. Let's start with the burger joint on the corner. Every Austin kid of a certain era has a version of this story, and mine starts at Nighthawk. By the time I was old enough to remember it, Nighthawk was already down to its last location on Burnett Road. A diner that had been open since 1932 when a man named Harry Aiken opened it on the corner of Congress and Riverside, because he liked the idea of a place that never closed. Aiken wasn't just a burger guy. He hired across racial lines decades before it was legally required, and he went on to become the mayor of Austin in the late 1960s. You don't get that history from a menu, but you feel it in a place like that. The sense that the booth you're sitting in has held more than just families on a Sunday. I remember the low hum of the fryer, the paper placemats, and ordering the same thing every single time. Nighthawk held on until 2018, 86 years, and then it just stopped. Now, the diner that isn't on any list. Here's the strange thing about memory and restaurant closures. The place people miss the most is sometimes the hardest one to find written down anywhere. For a lot of old Tarrytown families, that place was Holiday House. It opened in 1947 and was started by two World War II veterans, and it served burgers out of the same building for nearly 60 years. When I ask people my parents' age what they miss, this is the name that comes up before Threadgill's, before Shady Grove, before anything with the Yelp page. It closed quietly in 2014, and depending on who you ask, the building's new owner had strong feelings about restaurants that sold meat. There's no plaque for Holiday House, no mural, just a gap in a strip of Tarrytown where a family used to sit down together and now doesn't. Now, what about the venue that survived fire? Not once, but twice. Now, if you grew up here, you already know that I have to talk about Threadgill's. It started as a filling station in 1933, and it was owned by country music loving man named Kenneth Threadgill, who eventually turned it into a joint where a young Janis Joplin got some of her first stage time. The building burned down and then reopened. It burned down again and it reopened again. By the time it became the restaurant and music hall combination that a lot of us remember, it had already survived more than most buildings in this city ever will. I remember going there and ordering the chicken fried steak, a plate of vegetables the size of my head, and the bronzed chicken with honey carrots and the broccoli rice casserole. I think that was my favorite. There was a stage in the corner where somebody's uncle was tuning a guitar between courses. Threadgill's closed for good in November of 2018. Some accounts say later during the pandemic, but the writing had been on the wall for a while, with rising rent and insurance costs squeezing out a 40-year run. The owner, Eddie Wilson, had offers to sell the restaurant itself, but he turned them down. He said he didn't want to hand his legacy to someone else's version of it, so he let it end instead. There's something almost dignified about that. Better an ending you choose than somebody else writing it for you. And then there are the ones that blur together when you say them out loud, like a prayer for a city that keeps changing shape underneath you. Fran's Burgers on South Congress, 40 years, gone in 2013. The Frisco on Burnett Road, 65 years of home cooking and burgers wrapped in paper, closed the summer of 2018. Conan's Pizza by the UT campus, 42 years, closed when the property taxes finally caught up to it. Shady Grove, that sprawling outdoor patio next to the original Chewy's, where you'd sit under the trees during Unplugged at the Grove and listen to somebody's band before they made it big. Almost 30 years, gone in 2020. The lot on Barton Springs is still empty. Nobody's built on top of the memory yet. Oh, Dart Bowl. Dart Bowl closed that same year. 62 years of bowling lanes and, of all things, genuinely great enchiladas. It even shows up in the background of a movie about growing up here, which feels appropriate. Some places only get remembered because a camera happened to be pointing at them at the right time. What's left? People love to say Austin isn't Austin anymore, but I think that's too simple. Cities don't die, they molt. But it's fair to say something specific gets lost every time a family-run kitchen gets replaced by a building with a name like the modern something or other. What I keep coming back to is this. None of these restaurants closed because the food got worse. They closed because rent went up, or a lease expired, or a pandemic hit at the worst possible moment. Or an owner simply decided he'd rather end the story on his own terms than watch someone else finish it for him. Maybe that's the real thing this episode is about, not the burgers, or the enchiladas, or the chicken fried steak. It's about the fact that a city is really just a very long list of places that mattered to somebody, and most of us don't find out how much a place mattered until after it's gone. So here's what I'll ask you to do. Wherever you are, whatever's still open in your town that used to be everywhere and now is only one location, maybe two, go. Order the thing you always order. Sit in the booth a little longer than you need to. You'll be glad you did. This has been Ghosts of Austin. Until then, I'll see you at the next table over. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Your support helps this community continue to grow. Keep the conversation going by following the Shady V Experience on social media, and don't be afraid to join in. We love hearing your thoughts, stories, and ideas. Until next time, keep it shady, but always keep it real.
Oh, the Shady V Experience. Come on in and stay. Good times and good tales will brighten your day.